Good morning.
Good morning. Hi, everyone. It's 11 o'clock, and we can start our class now. And I want to find the notes that I started showing you at the last class, because we have to move on beyond those notes. But as I try to look for him here in my list of notes, list of files, I have a lot of files, too many files to go through to find those notes. So, okay, yeah, there it is. All right. So, let me make sure that I am sharing the screen and share screen here. And I think that's it there. So, all right. So I think what we get through most of this, I think we got through most of these notes at the last class in our 2-hour class. And so we want to spend most of the time today having our in-class debate, And we had a debate topic that you wrote a paragraph on, and I wanted to go ahead and open up, show that. Let's see, stop share. I'm going to go share screen, and let's see if I can find the students' paragraph. So here you see, should be the student's paragraph. Where's the student? There it is. Okay. So to South Koreans, the Chinese political system is more effective in responding to globalization than the U.S. political system. So this is one of the essays you submitted, and I highlighted that it should be 150 words at least in length. And so this was an interesting one. This person writes he disagrees or she disagrees with the debate topic, with the assertion. This is a person is Khan, right? The U.S. political system is measured for each specific system. Basically, every criticisms on media from the medium of, hold it a second. I forgot to do something. We have got to do attendance. So let me go to attendance, because we have a change in how we do attendance in the class now. So we have to do attendance, and I have to do it like this. Go here and then press on Smart Attendance, and you will see a number. And you have to enter in this number, 423, within 10 minutes in order to register for class. So it looks like the speed with which you're doing this indicates to me that you're already familiar with this from other classes. So that's the code number you need to enter in to attend the class, okay? So that goes for 10 minutes, and I guess I just let it go there, and it'll stop on its own to register attendance. So please do that. And in the meantime, let me go back to what I was talking about, okay? So this person continues, basically, stop share. So I have to now restart the share and share here. Basically, every criticism on media from the freedom of speech and presidential election, what Americans need, which is on one of the soft powers, are definitely much powerful, and world top 10 universities locates in the U.S. as well. On these reasons, the U.S. is the step front more than China and world predominance also. The problem is, U.S. President Trump is trying to leave from the traditional aiding hegemony to bring out the capital to focus on domestic economy, which is international people don't want willingness. Nonetheless, power of Communist Party of China is under control on one headquarter, were the place without a system watcher. A lot of unacceptable behavior has happened, such as a backdoor system in Chinese applications, PC products, etc. Chinese products are currently gets banned into use through whole over the countries, which going backward from globalization. So what's the counter argument to this, right? I mean, this is a standard argument that who would want to be attracted to China with its one-party authoritarian system? I mean, why would you argue that somehow the Chinese system is better than the American system in terms of responding to globalization? I mean, it's silly compared to the United States system. Who would want to become like China, right? Where you have a brutal regime that suppresses human rights. Well, what's the Chinese counterargument? From the Chinese perspective, they have developed the country into a superpower in 40 years under this system, beginning in the late 1970s, starting from a position of great poverty. Per capita, China was like Korea right after the Korean War, one of the poorest countries in the world when you divide its economy by its population. And in 40 years, you know, I'm 58. So from the time I graduated high school to today, China went from being a poor, underdeveloped country to one of the second biggest economy in the world. It's still middle-level income if you divide the size of its economy by its 1.3 billion people, but it's considered to be an advanced country now, leading the world in the coronavirus vaccine race. They already have a virus vaccine ready to go that they're using on their military personnel. It has dealt effectively with the coronavirus while the US elects a fascist, Donald Trump, to be its leader who is unable to get control over the virus and is purposefully dividing people against each other in the United States to get reelected. Black people versus white people in the US. He's openly exploiting that. Of course, China's doing bad things to minorities as well in Tibet and in the Uyghur areas in Xinjiang, where the reports are that hundreds of thousands of people in Xinjiang are being put in camps to be forcibly re-educated and maybe engaged in forced labor. But the Chinese can say, well, look at how the Americans deal with their minority problems with the African Americans and Hispanics. I mean, America has 5%, less than 5% of the world's population, but 20% of the world's prisoners, if you don't include the Uyghurs in China. I mean, Americans have 2.2 million people in prison. So 2% of the adult population in the United States is in prison. 2%. Even if you include the Uyghurs in China as being in prison in those camps, that's still 2 million people. That's a lot less than 2% of all the adults in China. And they argue as well, the Chinese argue, the rest of the world, developing world, will perhaps favor the Chinese model and Chinese alliance over the US to develop their countries in the midst of the existential threat of global climate change. Now, aside from the pandemic, aside from the coronavirus, we have escalating environmental catastrophes going on around the world. In the United States today, with fires in the West in California, the worst ever seen, more intense hurricanes, more frequent hurricanes, droughts, floods, and that's becoming worse and worse and worse. And most of the world is still poor. And now they want to develop, and now they have developed with the global pandemic and global climate change. Who's going to help them? Who's going to help them the fastest, most quickly, with the most effective model? The Americans or the Chinese model? The Chinese always emphasize that we are a developing country. Our sympathy is with the developing world, the peoples of Africa and Asia who suffered under imperialism the way the Chinese suffered under Japanese and Western imperialism until the Communist Party liberated China from Japanese and foreign domination and occupation. They always say that, right? And so they have lessons to teach the peoples of Asia, not, you know, the American model, the Chinese model. It has to be, you can't adopt the American model in Africa. You can't adopt the American model in Southeast Asia. America is a totally different situation, a country formed with immigrants and a portion enslaved, brought from Africa. That's the problems in Asia and Africa are different, very, very, very different from the American experience. So the Chinese claim that their model, clearly, I mean, look at, I mean, the Chinese have controlled the virus. It's done, right? And their economy is growing so that South Korea will benefit by being exported to China with a growing economy. I mean, China may well, you know, it's already, I mean, if this big race to develop the coronavirus vaccine illustrates these issues. So I wanted to, since this is a short class, right? We are only meeting for 50 minutes. I wanted to go to a debate. I wanted to go to the in-class debate to show what we can do in terms of with this. Let me see if I can get back to the. Okay, all right. So the topic was, the debate topic was, let me see, did I open up? I don't see where I opened up the file there. Yeah, is that it? I don't see it. I want to try to find that, that share file to share with you. So share screen and, okay, so we go here and to South Koreans, the Chinese political system is more effective in responding to globalization than the US political system. So first thing to do is to divide up into breakout rooms. And since you're all now signed into the class, we can now go into breakout rooms. And let's see how many people we have here today. About 4 to 5 participants. How about we go 4? Okay, into breakout rooms. So create breakout, and this is randomly assigned. Okay, so I think you can see the share screen, right? You can see where you've been assigned. This was random. I didn't assign this. This was the Zoom did this. So in breakout room 1, Chong Sung Hyun, or Hyun Chong Sung here is, let's make that person the chairman. You're the chair of the group of breakout room 1. In breakout room 2, it's Im Young-woo. You are the chair of breakout room 2, okay? In breakout room 3, room 1 and 2, you are pro on the debate topic. You are pro on the debate topic. Group 3 and 4, you are con. Both of you are con on the debate topic. And the leader of group 3 is Park Ho-young. Oh, yes, okay. Ho-young is assigned to be the leader of chairperson of group 3. And the chairperson of group 4 is Antoine. And I think this is random. This is randomly assigned, I assume. You are the chair of group 4, con. So these two groups are con, and these two groups are pro on the debate topic. And this is, of course, the debate topic, right? The debate topic is here. And so what I would like you to do now is to go into your groups and let's see, go back to the stop screen, breakout rooms, and open all rooms. And so give this person, be prepared to speak. Be prepared to speak to the rest of the group, to the rest of the class. So write down your ideas, and you others in the group give your ideas to this group, this leader, and discuss among yourselves what this person will write or will state to the rest of the group when we get out of our group. So let me open all the rooms now. Okay, so you're now in your groups, and so begin. And let's do that for, let's say, the next 12 minutes.
So, Laura, so your mic doesn't work? Is that the case? Okay, sounds good. All right. So, sir, so So we're pro, right? So I'm just
Yeah.
going to argue that the Chinese system is better, correct?
Right.
All right, sounds good. So to start off, I personally said that it's not better. Oh, that's your opinion. Okay, cool. Because I was actually on the side of con. Was there anyone else that was on pro?
Well, it's good to, there's no right or wrong answer to these questions. It's just a matter of, discussing them and trying to look at these issues from different points of view. And I'll ask you to vote at the end of the class as a general class vote as to whether or not, you're pro or con. But, it's good to look at it from different points of view to see the complexity in these topics.
Right. Just checking like what the whole consensus is. So if there is, yeah, sounds good. Convince me. So could you write down your opinion real quick so I can like bring something else from there.
America First initiative Trump unveiled in 2016. So it rejected like several globalization approaches. So for example, he also rejected the transatlantic trade and investment partnership with the European Union. And besides that, he also revoked the Paris Climate Agreement that was previously agreed upon.
So your group is con, right? Group 3, you're the con side. Yeah. And Hyo Young is the chair. So share your thoughts with Hyo Young and she can jot them down so that you can express them to the rest of the class.
Yeah, we're gonna do that.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, I get it. Okay.
Antoine?
Yeah.
Yes, you're the chair, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the problem is that Kim doesn't have the micro, he can speak because of the laptop.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm not muting them. They have to unmute themselves. Yeah, do the best you can.
Yeah. Okay. Soft power, du coup. Okay. So, soft power.
China has already been China's been having a lot of influence in the world economically and trades and export and import and stuff. That's why one of the reasons other countries have no choice than to just be following the Chinese political system because they have so much effects on the other countries throughout the world.
So it could be said that China can take a leadership role by its sheer market power. and then people can benefit from that as well if
Yeah,
other
sure.
countries follow through.
Since they are growing so rapidly, like
Mhm.
economically,
Mhm.
that's why the like other countries might have to adapt the Chinese political system.
With that too.
I think that could be one of the reasons.
Perhaps. I mean that probably coincides with the One Belt One Road initiative. Probably could make an argument about that, saying how China's taking a leading role in expanding the world's economy. Probably.
And also I think that U.S. political leaders are not free from the intervention of many institutions in policymaking
Like law.
process. A variety of groups, entrepreneur, lobbyists, civic organizations.
Mhm.
So the development of, and additionally, the development of the internet has accelerated these domestic trends and provides info.
Corona one.
Because like the America First Initiative basically means that he takes America over everything, and that's why he rejected like several globalization approaches since he was elected in 2016. And for example, one of those
If you're having microphone trouble, you can use the chat.
We already finished.
Oh, okay. Okay, well, just 3 more minutes to give other groups. Okay. So, Hyun Chong Song, you were the chair of the group. What did your group, as pro, what did your group come to conclude in terms of the strongest pro argument as to why the Chinese system is better than the American system in responding to the challenges of globalization, broadly understood?
So we had quite a few points that we made, but the best one I think right now, and the one that I kind of organized the best, was China's role that China could take in the world is its economic power and its market power, and the world is going to have to adapt to that no matter what, because before China was a developing country, but now it's growing more and more powerful, especially its market. And on the other side, America is it's being more nationalist and is slowly moving away from cooperation and more, how do we say it, like more contained environment and more concerned about their domestic issues. Whereas China is branching out. They have the One Belt One Road initiative that they're pulling out for interdependence and to develop every other developing country in the world, especially.
Right.
So yeah, it was kind of messily put, but simply put, China's great economic power and its outreaching policies, just like the One Belt One Road initiative, is one reason why the whole world is going to try to adapt to China.
Yeah, I mean, the Chinese are the first to point out that they're 1/5 of the human race. 20% of the human race is China. China has no choice but to globalize. When you're 20% of the world's population, and 94% of that population belongs to one ethnic group, the Han Chinese. Yeah, you hear about the Uyghurs and the Tibetans, but those are tens of millions compared to over the 1 billion Han Chinese. All right, so they have no choice but to globalize. The Americans, as described in the Hook textbook, they have this image of themselves as a city on a hill, that they are separate from the ugly decadence of the rest of the world in Europe and Asia, separated by 2 big oceans, to build their own unique city on a hill. And that's part of American culture, right? That they only overcame during the Cold War, when they thought that communism was a threat to liberalism as a form of basically the ideological happy face of Russian nationalist imperialism in the name of communism. But the Americans are showing that they're going back to their traditional culture, right? Of isolationism, not wanting to provide a leadership role in the world. And by the way, even if Donald Trump loses the election in a month and a half, he's not going away. He's not going anywhere. He's still going to dominate the Republican Party. He is the Republican Party. Donald Trump is the Republican Party. He dominates that party. And he's not going to go away in 6 weeks. Right? So one of the major parties in the United States is going to be white nationalists versus the Democratic Party. Who can trust that country to provide leadership to a globalizing world? The Chinese, they've always been focused on their role as the middle kingdom around which Asia at least should focus. And of course, they're nationalists too. But what might the Chinese say? You're all grown up. Do you believe in Santa Claus? Do I believe in Santa Claus? Who is Santa Claus? This mythical figure who gives you things for free. Nobody gives you anything for free in this world. If they give you something, they want something back. So of course, the Chinese are going to expect to provide a leadership role in Asia. If they aid Malaysia and Indonesia and Philippines in dealing with global climate change and the rising sea levels and all of the big challenges the world is facing on top of the global coronavirus pandemic, after the pandemic, right? Okay, group 3, Hyoryong, you are Khan. Let's hear what your argument is.
Our group talk about, in short term, Chinese political system will be effective than US because they don't care what other the government doesn't really interested what normal people saying, and they can have power to force their policy, their foreign policy. But in long term, U.S. political system is more effective because it's globalized. It's easy to globalize individuals because democratic system guaranteed the civil right, and also they free to have their own opinions. So it makes too easy to globalize normal people. And also if we consider about soft power like cultures or peoples, then it will be better to, it will be easy to globalize.
Okay, okay. I mean, you know, I mean, that's the traditional American view before Donald Trump got elected. And I mean, I don't have an easy answer for this. I mean, we're going into the world, you know, what many people describe as an existential crisis for human civilization. This global coronavirus pandemic, this will pass. This will be done in 3 years, right? The vaccines will be out, but climate change is such a challenge to the entire human civilization. And you have to address, it has to be addressed now. We have to stop. We have to stop emitting carbon, greenhouse gas emissions into the atmosphere. That means you have to radically change the economy. You have to completely stop fossil fuel use, or at least find a way to balance it out. And then go back and start taking it out of the atmosphere. That's already what's already there. Can the American system really do this? A democratic political system? I mean, or is it going to require, you know, an authoritarian one-party state led by, you know, philosopher kings or engineers? I mean, most of the people who are on the top level of the Chinese Communist Party, they're trained in engineering. Whereas the leaders of the United States political parties, most of them are lawyers. I mean, you know, maybe the European Union, I mean, the European Union is committed in what, in 30 years to becoming carbon neutral by 2050. But that's not a democratic, very democratic political system, right? So the world will be tested. But the point is, you can't, obviously, it's not easy to say that obviously the Chinese understand that they have to democratize. They don't obviously understand that. The people in the Chinese Communist Party, over my years of reading, they argue that their system is necessary to deal with the world emergencies that we face today. Right? And the election of Trump just simply proves that. This populist fascist becomes the leader of the most powerful country in the world. That's the model that the world is supposed to follow to deal with interdependency and globalization? No way. Okay, let me now go back to group 2. So Im Yong-gu, what did your group decide? You're a pro on the argument that the Chinese system is better than the American system dealing with globalization.
So we come up with the two main ideas. So our first idea is that U.S. political system is getting out of the globalization approach, such as from several years ago, Donald Trump started to reject several global climate change, such as climate change agreements, or he tried to break out from the organizations or trade agreement, so that he tried to preserve his profit and interest, and trying to give another pressure over to other countries that he's going to come out of the union. Also, such as the NATO, we we discussed in the other day. And the second idea is that he's also Donald Trump. Donald Trump is so easily giving the idea, giving this restraint over foreigners, so giving another reason to prevent COVID-19, but which is he's actually giving another excuse to avoid the foreigners. For example, he's trying to give another prohibition of entry. Even just a few years ago, he started to build a wall over to Mexico, and as this virus occurred, he started to ban over foreigners and giving a hard situation of giving visa. And moreover, this very recently, he also tried to give a restraint over to foreign students.
Okay. All right. And then we have Antoine for group 4 on Khan, that no, the US system is better for dealing with globalization. The Chinese system is not better than the US system. So what did your group argue, Antoine?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, so in addition to the American software arguments, the United States are the world's creditor since 1974 with Bretton Woods. So the American economic structure ensures global currency stability, which China does not have, which constantly devalues its currency to boost its export. So our first argument is the American economic structure, which is very stable. And the second is that the USA, in the process of globalization, opened with Europe from the Marshall Plan and share with Europe a particular history and commercial contract. Sorry.
Okay. So maybe, you could make that point that that the if you're Khan and you're arguing that let me see here, that the Chinese political system is more effective, in fact, that the American system is more politically effective. Yeah, you can make that argument, right? I mean, it seems what you're implying is that the Americans need a threat in order to provide globalization leadership. I mean, the Americans became involved in overseeing the World Trade Organization and the IMF and the Marshall Plan, not because they were nice guys, but because they saw a problem from the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union was a Russian version of Nazi Germany, and that the Americans needed to help Europe recover from the war and develop so that communism would not be appealing in Europe. The French Communist Party had a lot of credibility in Europe after World War II. The Italian Communist Party, it claimed to be the leader of the Italian resistance against the fascists before and during World War II. The Americans were really concerned that after the dismal experience with capitalism producing the Great Depression and then democracy leading to the election of Adolf Hitler. I mean, Hitler came to power as a result of election in 1933 in Germany, that a lot of people would turn, and after the terrible suffering of World War II, that a lot of people would turn to communist parties offering solutions to problems. And so the Americans provided all this aid in order to both help pacify the populations of Western Europe and also to begin to rebuild them in order to provide the military capabilities to avoid, to balance or contain or resist a potential Soviet attack, a Soviet invasion. So now the Soviet Union is gone and the Cold War is over. So can the Americans still provide this kind of leadership to overcome their traditional isolationism that Hooke describes in the first opening chapters of the US history, where the Americans were focused for 150 years. They were focused on, spreading and expanding their power in North America, and then expanding into Latin America. They were actively involved in Mexico. They went to war with Mexico, and they took half of Mexico in the 1840s and elsewhere. But for most of their history, they were not key players in Europe and in Asia until the 20th century, really. And then they did after World War II, because they were concerned that if they let Joseph Stalin, the communists, take over all of Eurasia, they wouldn't stop there. They would come after the Americans. But now, everybody knows communism is a failure. You have the Chinese Communist Party, but these people are business people. I mean, China is all about business, about trade, about commerce, about banks, and like they have their own model of economic development, but it's a one-party model. It's a one-party model, corporatist model. It's more of a corporatist model. And closer to what maybe you saw in fascist countries like Franco's Spain and Mussolini's Italy. But at the same time, we have nuclear weapons. We have this commitment to trade and commerce is necessary to develop. The Americans, can they really be trusted to maintain their leadership when they don't have a godless totalitarian threat? So these are the topics that are discussed in the book, right? The book, just to remind us of what the textbook looks like, let's see if I can go to it here, because I opened it. Just to remind us what the textbook looks like. I can't see, but the textbook is describing all of these internal features or characteristics of the United States, and I wanted to talk a bit about those internal features and characteristics of the United States by opening up an exercise here, if I can find it. Let me see here. Stop share, and let's see if I can find it here. One second. Some people claim the internal features of a country are not really that important. That the kind of political system in place in a country is not all of that important. And one of the efforts to try to address that issue of how important are the internal features of a country in explaining its behavior include this book. This book came out in the 1950s by Kenneth Waltz, and it's an old book. It was published originally in mid-1950s, and it's still in print. And Kenneth Waltz is one of the founders of what's called structural realism or neorealism. And but back in the 1950s, he wrote a dissertation at Columbia University right after the Korean War. And I think he fought in the Korean War. He's a Korean War veteran. He's been dead for 10 years now. But he wanted to explain what caused the Second World War. What caused the Second World War? And he looked at all of the literature that was published at the time about what caused the Second World War. And he divided that literature into 3 different groups. One group focused on the international system level, that the Second World War, World War II happened because there was no world government. The world doesn't have a world government. So all the states of the world have to look out for themselves. And so they live in a world of fear and anxiety and security, and they have to assume the worst about each other. And since they have to assume the worst about each other because nobody else is going to take care of them, they have to prepare for the worst. And since they have to prepare for the worst possible scenario, they build up their military, which frightens and threatens their neighbors. Now, of course, if I'm building up my military, I tell you, I'm only doing it to defend myself. But should you believe me? What if tomorrow I use my big military that I claim is only to defend myself to attack you? So you have to prepare for that possibility. So you build up your military, and you're saying you're just doing it because you just have to prepare for the worst possible scenario. This is called the security dilemma, right? That my efforts to improve my security can undermine your national security. And so you respond, and your response can threaten and undermine my national security. So I respond by your potential danger, and that makes you more afraid, me more afraid, back and forth, you have a conflict spiral. Because there's no world government. Nobody's going to take care of me but me. Nobody's going to take care of you but you. You can't rely upon the Korean police, the Korean government. There is no world government. There is no world police. Other group of literature said what's important is the national character, the internal features of a country, how nationalistic it is, what kind of culture it has, what kind of institutions of government does it have. Does it have a divided system of government like the United States where the president does not directly control the Congress and there's a Supreme Court, 3 different branches of government that are autonomous from each other, with a federal system with powerful states as well as a federal government, with a culture founded by white Puritan settlers, with a city on the hill mindset. And then the third body, those are state level factors of analysis. And the last level of analysis is individual level of analysis. World War II happened because of Adolf Hitler and Benito Mussolini, right? You have to understand what's going on in their brains to understand World War II. And the textbook for our class is assuming that the state level factors of analysis and individual factors of analysis are important. They are important. The textbook, Paradox of Power, is aiming to explore how those different levels of analysis at the individual and state level factors are important. We need to understand how America acts in the world. You have to understand American institutions. You have to understand American culture. You have to understand Donald Trump. And you have to understand that there is no world government, of course. And that's the focus in the first early chapters about neorealism and the fact that there is no world government, and the United States emerged after World War II so powerful compared to the rest of the world. And it stepped in to that world situation with its great power. I mean, at the end of World War II, the United States economy itself was 50% of the world's total economic output. It had 4.5% of the world's population, and it produced almost 50% of the world's economy. It was just the United States. The United States economy doubled in size during World War II. It grew by 100% during World War II. It was virtually undamaged by the war, whereas Europe and Asia were devastated by the war, right? The textbook is going to talk about the anarchy of the world during World War II and the rise of the United States as a powerful actor that could provide overall hegemony and control that would allow European integration to happen because it was so powerful and so rich. And it saw a threat from Joseph Stalin's Soviet Union, that the Soviet Union was a Russian version of what the Americans just fought in World War II in Germany. And if they didn't want to fight that war again, then they had to provide overall leadership to its friends in Europe and in Asia, including the Japanese when they got rid of the fascist regime in Japan. But then the rest of the book is all about the state level factors of analysis, American institutions, the Congress, the presidency, interest groups, the media, the foreign policy bureaucracy, and also about how to understand the mindset of particular American leaders like Woodrow Wilson and Franklin Roosevelt and Dwight Eisenhower and Bill Clinton and now Donald Trump. Okay, and so before we end, I want to do a poll here to ask you about is the PRC or USA better at globalization? So there's the poll. So please vote. which is better? Aside from what group you participated in the class, which of these which is better? How do you respond? The Chinese political system is more effective in responding to globalization than the US political system. Two more votes. We need two more votes. One more vote. Well, okay, end poll. So it looks like you believe that no, the American political system is better at globalization. Well, we'll have a test. We'll definitely have a test here over the next few months, next several weeks, next few months, because I told you, even if Donald Trump loses, he dominates the Republican Party, one of the two main parties in the United States, right? And we'll see. Well, thank you very much. Do you have any questions?
Professor, I have one question concerning your statement. Can I ask you? Okay, according to your statement, can I understand that USA got an advantage from the World War I and II because and got a chance to get a global leadership because, as you told, Europe and Asia were devastated from the 1,000 of bombs, but USA didn't have any damage from their own land, and that they even didn't have any war on their land. So, can I understand that by the World War I and II, the USA got the chance to get the global leadership and the global power?
Yes, that's what realists would say, right? And if China is going to replace the United States, however, we can't have another war, because if it's a nuclear war, that's the end of civilization. That's the end of everything. So how China would rise, a realist would ask, how would China replace the United States? And that's what I've been working on. And it would probably work through appealing to people through new soft power mechanisms. Who's got the better model for development, for dealing with the coronavirus and dealing with climate change and trying to develop your economy? Who's better? You're going to compete indirectly, like during the Cold War, when the Americans and the Soviet Union competed to get to the moon, the space race. Now we have a virus vaccine race. Who's going to develop the vaccine first? Who's going to deploy it first? And the Chinese see that as an opportunity to show that, again, their system is the best for the rest of the world. You know, the rest of the world is not so concerned about, can I, express my point of view? Can I eat? Can I get a better life for my children? Can we avoid disease? Can we not be killed by natural disasters from climate change? And the Chinese argument, their model is going to be the one that appeals. And we're already seeing, for example, reports about how Indonesia and Philippines seem to be cooperating more closely with China in developing a vaccine and deploying a vaccine because it seems that the Philippines is increasingly moving towards a more Chinese-oriented focus in its foreign policy. Yeah, nuclear weapons, they make all of the difference in terms of changing the world, the way international relations is, a competition happens in international relations. So we'll have to talk about that the rest of the semester. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor.
All right, so thank you. And that'll be it for today. And we'll meet on Monday, okay? Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I have an
Thank you,
attendance.
Professor.
I have a question about attendance, Professor. Before the class, I didn't check the online attendance because my laptop often shut down and.
Okay, well, you should send an email to me and to the secretaries at CUK DIS at Catholic, the International Relations Department, and a copy to me, because they take attendance. I don't think I do attendance, right? They record it. So send me an email and to the department, explain the problem, okay? Because we're doing this all electronically now.
Yes, and okay. And did you check my email with revised assignment?
Okay. I will do that. I think I might have done it already, but before I started class at 9 o'clock. But I think I got to sign off because I was told somebody else is going to sign in. You know, like we said, professors share these accounts. So I think I might have to sign off now. Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Bye bye. Thank you,